Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again for episode 2 of Such and Style. Today, I'm happy once again to be with you and have such a lovely guest today. They've been king and queen and now doing more than that. First, I'd like to welcome the gentleman, Karibu.
Thank you, Sana Leakey.
Maybe you could briefly introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Leakey, for the opportunity. My name is Michael Msioka, a supermodel based in Nairobi for now, a high fashion, commercial, and editorial model. Thank you.
Wow. On my left, the beautiful girl that I've known for some time. Could you kindly just let the viewers know who you are?
Thank you, Leakey. My name is Leakey Odera. I'm a runway and pageant coach. I'm also a project manager, and I'm the director of Isiko Academy. We deal with coaching young girls and boys on modeling and life generally. I'm really happy to be here today.
Wow. Such and Style is about fashion, pageantry, and modeling. Um, these two beautiful people, I've known them for a while, and it all started with pageantry. Maybe, Deborah, tell us a little bit about your journey in modeling, in pageantry, sorry. People may not know you first started pageantry.
Yeah, I mean, my first tech, like when I first got my foot into modeling, I started with pageantry, and that was my university beauty pageant. I think that's where a lot of models start from. So I contested
Yes.
for, I contested for Miss Maseno, and I was top 5. But the main reason I contested was because I came across Miss World Kisumu County that time. And at the time, that was 2015, Miss World was huge. And if you just had, wow, I'm Miss World Kenya Kisumu County, and she was being driven around by the county government cars, and she was so elegant, and she was stunningly beautiful, so eloquent, so confident. And she just came up to me, and she was in in a mall in Tuskis United Mall in Kisumu. And she was like, "Hi, excuse me, my name is Lydia. I'm Miss World Kenya Kisumu County, and I think you could be a good model." And I was like, "What's that?" So, yeah, she was like, "Yeah, please, here's my number. If you're ready, let me know." So she encouraged me and held my hand through Miss Maseno, and that's
Wow.
where it all began.
So it's not just about you have to be a model, born a model to be. Shoka, is your story the same? Where do you just find yourself doing this thing?
Yangu ilianza vile nilizaliwa, lakini ilikonfirmiwa nikiwa campus. Yeah, one day we were playing basketball, and then one of our cafeteria assistants akakuja akani-approach akaniambia, I just go give it a shot. And then from there, my journey just began.
Wow, different from Nivea. Nivea, when we first met, I think it was at my office in Lavington. Was they Lavington, eh? And you came and you're talking about Miss Environment. That was way before everyone is talking about climate now, environment and stuff. Tell us a little about this environment thing that you did before, way before guys started talking about it.
Well, it's first my journey started as Miss Maseno contestant, and then I ended up competing in Miss Environment Kenya, which I won because I represented Kisumu in the nationals. That was Miss Environment Kenya 2016, 2017, and Yeah, for me, I entered the pageant as a model. I had no idea that I was an environmental advocate, which I am to date. And at the time, we were very big on banning plastic bags. And during my reign, that's where I worked hand in hand with NEMA, Miss Judy Wahungu at the time, Honorable Judy Wahungu. And yeah, we made a lot of impact. And from there, I think that's when we were starting to find solutions to the water hyacinth menace in Lake Victoria, because I'm from the lakeside. So yeah.
So, Nivea is talking about the causes environment. There's something about pageantry. You don't just go into it because you can catwalk and stuff. Usually, you must have a cause. You just said you studied in campus. Did you have a purpose? You said the librarian called you and told you, bro, you can do this thing. Um, in that process, when you went for the first auditions or the campus thing, did you have a purpose or just said, let me try and get the title?
I had a purpose. First and foremost, what we did, we planted trees around the school. And then we also reached out to the community around the school. Tusaidie kupanda miti, more so to boost the environment around Mount Kenya region.
I remember us doing a lot of tree planting, went to Seku, went to Kajiado in Ngong Hills and stuff like
Yes.
that. Yeah, how was it? Was it something you liked or pageantry forced you to do it?
It's something that I like. It's an experience. You get to learn a lot. You get to network, and which is the most important thing in life, not just in pageantry and modeling.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What pageants does to you, it gives you an opportunity to venture into some stuff that you didn't think you'd go for. Just takes me back to Debra, and I think after my office, the next thing you're calling me to sit in at your class, master class. From Kisumu and now conquering Nairobi as a city. It's so impressive. How did you think of now? I'm done with the pageantry. How can I help the society? Tell me about the masterclass that you did.
Yeah, so starting with okay, I'm trying to connect my journey to make it more relevant to people who are just joining in now. But so from Miss Environment after my reign, which to be very honest, I did not feel like I really did enough as Miss Environment Kenya. And partially because I did not have anyone holding my hand, like I was alone. So you're trying to organize projects, you don't know who to talk to, you don't know where to go, you don't know where to get funding. And it's just this young girl from Kisumu coming to Nairobi, and you're making calls by yourself, and you're literally managing yourself as a beauty queen. You have a crown, but you don't really know which doors to knock. And for me, I would have really loved if I had someone like Leakey, someone like Livia Debra, someone like Musioka to hold my hand at the time. So afterwards, I did a number of fashion shows as a runway model. I did commercials as a commercial model as well. So I came up with Models Masterclass and Mentorship Program to just have someone to hold your hand, to know where to knock, because I feel like it was my way of giving back to the society. And yeah, Leakey, as you said, a young girl from Kisumu, and I was conquering Nairobi. At the time, it did not feel like it. I was just a young girl who was passionate about this newfound adventure and talent. And I wanted to make I wanted to exploit as much as I could. So yeah, I was just knocking doors. I was calling Akina Leakey and I was like, Leakey, I have this idea. What do you think about it? And I'm a very ambitious person in life. So if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna do it well. So I'm really lucky that you agreed to be part of the panel for the first masterclass program. And I feel like the feedback I was getting from these classes, and I had the kids workshop, the first kids workshop last week. The feedback you get from the attendees is just overwhelming because they're like, wow, I did not know this. I did not, this is very helpful. And it kind of just steers you in the right direction. There's a lot of exploitation going on, and models need a sense of direction and someone to hold their hand.
Yeah, I think brilliant. One of the most important thing in life is be ambitious, not just remain at that level, trying to climb the ladder. And he did it very well. I was impressed. This young model, not waiting for somebody to take them to the next stage. So she did it very well. Mshoka, in your journey, have you gone back and tried to, in terms of giving back to the society, help maybe doing charity and stuff as a model?
Yeah, in a couple of different ways. During my reign as Mr. Kemu 2016 2017, each and every month we used to visit different children's home. At least you're guaranteed you don't need a lot of funds and your project is going to run through. At the end of the day, you're there to touch the lives of the kids. And also, besides that, we had more tree planting sessions. And then, specifically for this year, it was about Thanksgiving for me. So this year, I went back to KMU to train their models. So that was the beginning of my journey.
Oh, great. Like here, last week, I said pageantry is about leadership, is about giving back and just be who you are. You cannot be a queen if you pretend, because again, you pretend when you start doing what you don't like, at some point it cuts like a elastoplast. So once you pull it too much, it gets off, and it's dangerous. So, Debbie, I know you don't like Debbie. You say I'm the only one who calls you Deborah Nivea. Nivea Deborah, as the world know you out there, being a Luo, you want the brand to be brand. I think I think many years, a friend of mine, Felix Massey, the photographer, was like, if somebody calls you Leakey, then people don't know who they're talking about. They must call you Leakey Odera for it to be complete. Yeah. So, Deborah, in that process, you went back and said, I didn't get that mentorship enough. I didn't get somebody to hold my hand. And you had ahead and started a school, which is recommendable. Tell us a little about your school. What do you teach and stuff like that?
So for me, the reason it's called Isiko Academy and not Isiko Model Academy is because I realize that models need more than just runway and model training. Pageantry
Definitely.
modeling is life, it's leadership, like Nikki said. It's leadership. So you're in that role to be a leader. You're getting in there as a public figure. So as a public figure, what skills, what soft skills do you have to help you manage yourself, to help you knock on big doors when you go sit with the governor, the president? How are you going to handle yourself? How are you going to represent your organization? Because as a model, you're a sole proprietor. You're like an entrepreneur by yourself. So what soft skills are you going to use in your business as a model, as a beauty queen, to help you conduct yourself out there in public and in private and in the office sector? Yeah.
I like what you said. As a model, you're a brand. You are a sole proprietor. One thing that I've realized is most of our Kenya models don't understand. Let's forget about models because there's a thin line between pageantry and modeling. As a pageant queen or a king, you are a brand. You're a sole proprietor. So you must be able to decide this is how I want my brand to move. Now I've realized a lot of times you find a model with like 5 sash, Miss A, B, C, D, and nothing on the table that shows what she's doing. For example, let's give an example of Kenya Breweries. Kenya Breweries has a lot of brands, but most of the time you hear either Johnny Walker or Tusker. So they push that because they know that's their what is it called?
Selling point.
Selling point and their brand. So when a model decides to have more than 2 crowns in 1 year, then you miss it. You can only handle one at a go. We cannot have 2 presidents. We must have one. So my advice to the young people, and you guys realize, is you must be able to focus to be able to do what Musyoka was doing in tree planting or what she was doing in environment when she just came. It gives you more concentration. Musyoka, I've realized of late you've been doing a lot of training. You just said you give back to Meru. You invited me to talk at
KCA
KCA
University.
University. Like Deborah said, I got a lot of response. Like the lady who won, she went ahead and won Miss County Kenya, and she emailed me and said, "Oh, Leakey, the short talk that you did really changed my life in terms of pageantry because there's things I didn't know." Then last week, you invited me to judge Miss Nairobi University. I think this year I've done about 15 universities, but I think Nairobi University was one of the best in terms of planning and stuff. So, Musika, what back to say, let me go back to be a trainer? And because I passed through this, probably there are things you missed or you loved what your trainer was doing to you then.
So during my reign as Mr. Kemo, I managed to go for Mr. and Miss University Kenya, where I got to meet one of the best and my favorite trainers, Debbie Oyogi. During Debbie's tenure and under her wing, I got to grow in so many different ways. Alinifunza how to maneuver as a choreographer, how to train models, and how to handle yourself as a model during training, and how to carry yourself as a trainer during training. So for the last 5 years, I've been working on that under the leadership of Kent Out 2 and your leadership. Na to be honest, choreography imenisaidia sana because you get to learn vitu zenye zina happen behind the scenes, which is very, very important for you as a model. Juu itakusaidia kujua how to handle a client, how to maneuver during kwa set. Juu hiyo ni kitu moja yenye models wana struggle nayo sana.
Yeah, I think you've said it rightfully. You must have people that you look up to. You must have mentors. Most of the models feel we are the thing. So what are you telling us about? And in my journey of over 20 years, I still learn stuff. I go to YouTube. When we were modeling, there was no YouTube. So what your trainer taught you is what it was.
Mentorship is compulsory.
Yeah. So a lot of our people feel entitled. I think we are losing it there. So just to go back to Debbie Nivea, she said she was stopped at a mall to be told, actually, you can do it. Maybe she should have just brushed it, but she followed that instinct in her to do what she did. And remember, she said she first did Maseno, then came and did the environment, and now it's a process. She feels, I haven't gotten there. I want one day to have a Kenyan win Miss World, Miss Universe, Miss Earth, and stuff like that. And I think that's why you're doing what you do. Recently, I think you invited me for a big fashion show that you're managing this weekend. Could you tell us? I mean, it's different. I don't see so many fashion houses doing it. The thing is, if I'm doing fashion or a school of fashion, me, I'll just show out the clothes, then done. It's changing. I've been on social media, and I think Delight is doing an amazing job to just tell us that Kenyans are still lovers of fashion.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much talent out here. We have so much talent in Kenya, in the country, and the youth need a platform. I think that's the biggest point of Africa Fashion Week. They need a platform. So when you look at the designers, there are over 30 designers. There are over 50 models, and there's a lot of partners. There's a lot of partnership that's going on in the fashion space, in the modeling space. So Delight contracted me as a choreographer and creative director for Africa Fashion Week, and I feel like that brings so many people together. Like it's underrated, the impact of fashion on the youth, because as much as, yes, it's bringing us together for the purpose of doing a fashion show, but what do you get outside of that? There's a lot of networking going on. From there, a model may realize, maybe I don't want to be a fashion model, maybe I want to be a designer, maybe I want to be a news broadcaster, maybe I want to be a fashion blogger, maybe I want to be an influencer. So it gives you opportunity to look at the fashion industry as a whole and realize, wow, there's so much more that I can do. Because it's more of we had a street photo shoot last week to kickstart Africa Fashion Week, and yeah, the designers are there walking. We are used to the designers being behind the cameras, and the designers are also there, like working on their confidence, and they walk in during our trainings, and they're like, wow, I can do this as well. So the confidence that modeling gives you, it's really underrated. And for me, the reason I'm confident like this right now is because of modeling,
Oh,
and it's
great.
something that grows. Yeah.
Great. I think you said it very well. I was at the launch at State House for Talanta Hela, and I was given an opportunity to talk on behalf of that industry. And I told the president, Mr. President, one of the reasons why you got into leadership is because of youth, but probably it was a bit wrong. We focused on Mama Mboga and Diokali. There's that big economy empowerment, which is the fashion industry. Even in the smallest village, you'll find a fundi. So this industry is $1 million industry. New York, Tokyo, London, South Africa. I've realized the importance of the fashion weeks and stuff like that. And I think when I mentioned to him, he was sitting next to a babu and said, let's see what we can do to help these young people who are getting off college. Every year we have up to 10, because there are many beauty pageants now that Kenya represented. And it's only pageantry, apart from athletics, where we have a Kenya represented against the rest of the world. When we realize that it's not Deborah, it's not Musyoka that is on that catwalk, it's Kenya, because the search is written Kenya. So the government needs to concentrate on this. We are doing so much on the other sports, football, but nothing has been done for pageantry, fashion. And I think a lot of fashion people are paying their taxes. When these guys travel, we pay a lot of stuff to either acquire a passport, clothes and stuff. Now, I just get back to what Deborah was saying. This fashion, I think when I was very big in international pageantry, that's between 99 and 2002, there was well organized in terms of fashion. Miss World or Miss Tourism would go with 3 or 4 bags of clothes. That means Kiko Romeo was big then, would give 2-3 pieces. African Heritage would give. And that means when they go out there, we can see the beauty of Kenya. Musyoka, you've been out in a contest. I think it was Turkey. How was it to get the clothes? Did you go to fashion guys? Were you begging? Just how did you?
To be honest, preparing for my trip to Turkey, ili stretched the limits. Nililia, sema schoolia a couple of times because you're sourcing for outfits na hauna nguo. Luckily, Debbie's sister, she's a designer, so she gave me a cheaper rate. Nika manage kutengeneza my outfits, and then I paid her after I came back. So ilinisaidia ku offset the burden. But getting outfits is a tall order, especially when you don't have money, and especially when you don't have the network.
Is it Nivea? I think like model for photographers, designers, all of them work together. I get a model to dress my clothes, then I get a photographer and a makeup artist. We build, that means we have a proper, in terms of photography and presentation. And like Mr. said, it was difficult to convince a designer to give clothes. So you had to pay a designer to get clothes to go and represent Kenya. I think for me, I don't know, it's easier to give a designer, I'm going to Turkey to sell your clothes. So you need to pay me instead of
Paying you.
me paying because I'm going to represent your clothes in an international platform. But I think the designers, the makeup artists have not been sold. Like for example, New York, London, Tokyo, the big fashion weeks are sponsored by Mercedes. Miss South Africa is sponsored by Mercedes. Why is it not Miss World Kenya not sponsored? I think there's a narrative that we're not telling. We're not telling Mercedes, if you come in, what are we going to get? I saw you the other day with the minister and some models. So that means of late you've been working with models. Did they get their clothes? Did they buy the clothes? The fashion designers willing to start supporting? I was watching Miss, I think Thailand last year for Miss World. She had like 71 suitcases. Now our girl, Miss World, probably has 3. Immediately you guys get to the airport, already the intimidation starts. You said you've just worked with 35. Is there, because you're already in that area, which is fashion, and you understand the difficulty of pageantry. Is there discussion you are doing with them? So the question is, were you able to help these heritage guys to get clothes? Number 2, are you talking to these guys where we try and make sure we don't fight each other, come together and understand, like I said, with a good model dressed in your dress and then a good photographer come together, we sell, because now it's not like our time where you have to go and plead with the media for you to be on media. You can get social media and it's bigger than the mainstream media now. Yes.
Now, I think the thing that I would like to really focus on is a return on investment. Because at the end of the day, as a photographer, as a designer, as a makeup artist, if I work with you as a model, you are a brand. What's the return on investment for that? Am I just gonna use my fabric and my time resources to work on you, and then what are you gonna do with that platform as a model? So you have to build yourself. That's why I mentioned earlier, like Isiko Academy, you work on the bigger picture. You as a brand, what are you doing on your social media that is impactful? What is making people want to work with you as a brand? And then the other thing that I would like to stress on is knocking doors. When I was with the Waziri, he was like, the only reason, one of the main reasons we are here with you guys is because this particular girl was very persistent. Persistent is the word, because a lot of models, you knock on 2 doors and you're like,
Just give up.
yeah, you give up and you're like, oh, designers are not supportive, photographers are not supportive. But you have to knock, you have to know what's in there for you. We are not yet there to support each other. And yes, as a designer, you should be able to see, okay, this is a brand who's going to represent me on an international level. This is what I'm going to get out of it, the return on investment, But also there's that persistence and there's, we'll get there. I believe we'll get there because right now there's a lot of opportunities for collaboration, and the more we collaborate, the more we accelerate our industry.
Yes. Shoka, my president Uhuru Kenyatta fought so hard to try and get the national design. There was a story of every Friday you dress in that.
Yeah, Fashion
Friday. Is it possible, are the people that we look up to, the models, to sit down and say, let's forget about everything. Let's try and say even end month, every last Friday of the month, we just go Kenyan. And I think that discussion now will change that narrative, that we cannot have a national dress. If Kagame was able to clean the city by starting every first Saturday of the week of the month, guys are doing this. I think when 10, 5, 6 models decide Friday to address hivi, and just put it on social media, it will go viral. What I like about Kenyans, we like copying. And this would be a good way of coping. There, a lot of the time when we copy, we do it badly. But I think this would work for us. Nivea said it is in discussion. It's gonna take some time to be able to, for people to understand this is happening. I think 2 weeks ago, was it a month ago, you got an opportunity to travel to Guinea Conakry to represent Kenya in textile and cotton discussion. I think there were 34, were there 34 or 44 countries represented?
43 countries.
43 countries. That means only 10 countries of the new Africa were absent. What did you learn from this opportunity about African growth into fashion and textile?
The diversity and beauty of our cultures. It's something that you cannot find in any other continent. See, we had a parade day, and during the parade day, the models, the designers, and the officials who traveled from each country, they were supposed to dress in their national costume. So that was one opportunity for us to bring back the national costume, of which we did. Thank you to our designer, John Kaveke. It was a very big opportunity for me. Diversity in culture, diversity in the people that you meet. You also get to learn more about the industry. Because you see, some of the countries, they are doing way better than other countries fashion-wise. For example, the South African designer, got to interact with him. I learned a lot because I would really like to go to South Africa and expand my career. So it was a great opportunity for me.
Oh, Debbie, I think in 2022, your absence was clear. You travel around Asia.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things about Asia, they've been so strong in terms of pageantry. Philippines, India, and a lot of Vietnam is doing, I think, half of the pageant this year are being done in Vietnam. They're not as well off as the Europeans, but they're doing it. What are we missing as African countries that we're not able to bring this big pageantry into content? I think the only place they've done the event is South Africa. In 2002, when we were going to do it in Nigeria, there was no politics then. It backfired. Tell us something about what you learned on your safari in Asia.
So for me, I would like to start with, because I started traveling in East Africa first, and the most notable one was Rwanda and Ethiopia. So talking about the national dress, when you got Rwanda has banned Mtumba. So there's a lot of, you walk around Rwanda and you see them with their traditional Rwandese shirts and trousers, and you can clearly feel that you're in Rwanda. You know, when you go to Ethiopia, they have their traditional Ethiopian outfits, and you can clearly feel you're in Ethiopia. Like when, in case you were sleeping and you wake up and you're in the middle of a market, you can see this is an Ethiopian outfit. Going to India, Indonesia, Philippines, Nepal, like when you look at those countries, a lot of them embrace their traditional outfits. And therefore, I feel like if you're a beauty queen in Asia, they respect leadership. I think that's the thing. They respect leadership. And when you're a beauty queen, you're a leader. you're the most beautiful and most impactful and most admired male or female in that country. So they'll give you so much respect. They'll adore you because they see, okay, this is our leader. This is the girl that they have selected, and they respect the decision of whichever selection committee. Even when you go to Philippines, even as Miss Hurlingham, as long as you have that sash and as long as you have that crown, they understand what weight comes with it. They understand that, wow, person was competed in this pageant and won for a reason. So I feel like, and also I think the thing that makes them worship and adore beauty queens is the way their government treats their beauty queens. Their government will give their beauty queens cars, apartments. They will be called to important conferences. They'll be given the proper leadership treatment that every country should be. So I think that's
you training university students, and not just the. I think one of the things that us Kenyans don't have is discipline and respect of time. You tell guys to come for training at 10, they'll show up at 12. You cannot be respected if you don't keep a time. Now, I like what you said. In some countries, Miss that country is equivalent to the president, but her turn is humanitarian. I don't know whether Kenyans can remember Abbas Gudo, the Red Cross chairman. If you remember him very well, every other time there was a disaster, you'd find him. Something has happened in Garissa University, is there that same morning. Something is in Kibera and is there. So in other countries, the Miss is even given her chopper. In case anything happens, she's picked and she's like the head of Red Cross. We cannot be given that when we do not have that discipline as model. I think majority of our models are in discipline. We need to correct that issue where most of them you'd ask, why did you become a model? Oh, I just bumped into my friends. I thought I was beautiful. Pageantry is not about your outer beauty. Pageantry is your inner beauty. That's why the serious pageant judge 60% of your judging before you step on the stage. When even saying there's a school, the school will teach you etiquette. You're wondering what am I going to use to do etiquette? You'll travel to countries where they've grown with table manners. Now yourself as an African, you don't know about forks and stuff like that. You want to use your hands to eat. Number one, you're done because you're contesting on a world stage. So you must be in that class where you're able to use cutlery well. You flying out of the country, you must be able to understand, I can only carry my handbag into the flight. Now you're from Shags and you're carrying all those big first, you cannot be a Miss World, you cannot be a Miss Universe because you're still that village girl. So there's that training 60% which comes out, but almost 30% is your inner beauty, your humanity. Like I said, you must be able to give back to the society. Mushoka, I don't know whether this has changed, but I think most of the universities students have no respect to pageantry, or probably they don't understand what should we do to be able to align the difference between pageantry and just any other models, fashion model, advertising model, and pageantry.
See, the industry is quite diverse, and during my stay and my period under Debbie Oyugi, there are a few things that I learned. Qualities of a good leader. The qualities of a good leader, there are some of the qualities a model should embody. Communication skills is key, respect is key, discipline is key, time management is key. Most importantly, humility. Because you see, you cannot lead anyone, you cannot talk to anyone if you're not humble. You cannot get any help if you're not humble.
Right. I think for me, what I learned in school or my studies is not what has given me the opportunity to be who I am today. Pageantry has. I I sat with Moi, I sat with Uru. The other day I was sat out with Ruto, and not because of my education. It's because I do what I love and I do it consistently. If you do what you want to do, and they say, the Bible tells me that you have that respect to sit with the kings. So anyone who is trying to uh, um, into modeling, like the models have said, number one, respect, communication, time, discipline, key. Debbie, we in a place where a generation that believes they know it all. What would you advise these young people who are getting into modeling?
Well, for me, as being part of the fashion industry at large, I feel like models, as a model, when you sign that contract with your agent, with the, you know, if you're a freelance, the contract is what does the talking. But as a beauty queen is a leader, or a king is a leader. So you have to be able to speak. And that's what if you know you cannot speak, you cannot sit in rooms with other leaders and express yourself clearly, and have a cause that can impact someone or an community's lives, then you're in the wrong industry. Maybe you could stick to modeling, because I feel like a lot of models, you can dress the way you want, you can talk the way you want, because it's your body, it's how you look, your skin, your eyes, that's what gets you the job. But also discipline is required. But as a beauty queen, you have to speak, you have to have that etiquette and grooming and humility, because you're interacting with people, you're impacting change in the society. So, yeah, every model, every beauty queen, get the right guidance from a reputable agency or academy, do your research, and have someone to hold your hand. I think that's what I would say.
The other thing I would say that I've learned, as a model you need to work hard. Nothing comes easy. Hakuna kitu inakuja rahisi at all. You need to put in a lot of research. You need to do a lot of hard work. Especially go find out why designers do what they do. Go find out why stylists do what they do, and understand why photographers choose some angles. And from there, your career is going to be so easy, especially when you're on set.
Okay, you're right. I meet a lot of models. I think they're very few reputable agencies, and there's very few reputable agencies. So one of the things that you need to do is you must have discipline. One, we've talked about. Number two, I meet a lot of models that keep saying, I'm a freelance, I'm not an agency and stuff like that. I think that's, I don't want to use words that are not supposed to be used on TV, but look at every other sport like football. You cannot be signed at Manchester, Arsenal, or even AC Milan and stuff if you do not have an agent. Even today in Kenya, you cannot join Gore if you don't have an agent. So there's no way a model is telling me they're freelance. Now, one of the things that you need to learn as a person, it's very key for blue chip companies to have somebody who will manage you. So you'd go to EABL, you're the best model, but if you don't have a representation, then they won't listen to you, because if anything goes wrong, they have nobody to attach to the mistake you've done. So it's easy for them to listen to a manager. They know you're well planned. So if you're a freelance model, it will be very difficult. You get some work, but it's very difficult if you have an organized organization, an organized agency, and stuff like that. Msuka will tell you, and I think Msuka, you are signed to an agency. How is it become? Is it has it become easier or it was harder than before? Have you learned things that you didn't know from the agency?
Personally, I would say it's become easier because recently I traveled to Guinea. It was over 100 models doing one runway. I was the only model with a portfolio. It's not easy. It's not easy building a portfolio. Through my agent, I got to understand the beauty of having a portfolio and the beauty of creating a portfolio. It makes work easier for you. You can book jobs while seated at home simply because of your portfolio.
Great, Debbie. In your class, is there a topic on portfolio and photography?
Yes, at the end of every class or every session that I have with my students, we build portfolios for them. We direct you, we link you up with photographers because you can't work with every photographer. There are different types of photographers. There's fashion photographers, there's street photographers. So you have to know the niche, and you have to be very particular with the kind of photographers you work with, and very particular with what you expect out of them. So when you're taking your Polaroids, when you're taking your editorials, who are you working with? Which kind of stylist are you working with? Which kind of makeup are you doing? How diverse is your portfolio? What kind of clients are you targeting? That will kind of give you a guideline. And as Musioka said, you need an agent. You need an agent, and if you feel like you don't need an agent, then you definitely need guidance. And that guidance, you get it from either an academy or, uh, a franchise. So, which just do your research and figure out which one is best for you. Because a lot of agencies I've had complaints from models, a lot of agencies in Kenya, they don't really get you so much jobs. So I think it also depends with what outcome you want. And yeah, just talk to people, try to figure out what's working for you. Can it work for me? What kind of model are you? What are your statistics? What do the job market require? That will give you a guideline on which direction to take.
Muchuka, you just talked about putting more time, working extra difficult. I think in everything you do, one of the greatest footballers in the world right now is Ronaldo. Those guys who listen or watch football, they know that guy 60% of his time is either in the gym or practicing. If then he believed he was the best, then he wouldn't be doing the same. So don't think because your face is good, that's all. You need to keep learning and doing a lot of stuff. Shoka, I don't know whether you agree with me.
It's never enough. Depending on looks, it's never enough. Bruce Lee once said, fear a guy who trains one move 1,000 times compared to a guy who trains 1,000 moves 1,000 times.
Consistency.
Mhm.
So I want just to let you guys know that there's a thin line between pageantry and fashion line modeling and stuff like that. Like Deborah just said, you don't have to do so much to be a runway model. I call them expensive hangers. So your work is just to walk on that catwalk and look better than a cloth that is hanged. Um, you find the time when they decided you have to be blue black to be the most beautiful girl in New York catwalk and stuff like that. So everybody wanted to be a Sudanese or everybody wanted to have short hair to be on the catwalk. It doesn't matter if you're speaking English or Sudanese, no French, but your work is just to walk. Like I said, as a beauty queen, number one, you must be able to communicate. That's why in pageantry you ask question and answers and stuff like that. It's key. How are you able to to interact with other people as a beauty queen? As a fashion model, you don't need to interact. Our Kenyan models have gone to South Africa, have gone to New York, and they've lost it because they're not as aggressive as the South Africans, as the Nigerians and stuff. But sometimes you go into, like I said, it's an expensive hanger. this secrets want to do a new line. This guy wants to see your app. So says, come topless. And you're like, hey, in Kenya, we don't do that. The Nigerian girl, we just check and done. So who gets the job? The guy, the person who's aggressive. So again, you must decide on what line you want to be. You want to be a beauty queen where you are reserved and you're able to give back, or you want to be that model. There's a very thin line between the two. And these are things you need to learn. They say a lot of beauty queens do not make it in the runway in the big fashion cities. If you Google a few of, I think they say if you Google Miss World, one of the most successful one was Miss Kenya 1984. Her name is Khadija Adams. Khadija Adams was a lady from Nyeri, came to Nairobi, won the pageant, went to London, and became the beauty of Africa. Every pageant has continental queens. So Khadija immediately was spotted and went to New York. Up to date, she's the only African girl from Africa that has appeared on Cosmo on the Cosmo cover. Very few, no other African girl has appeared. That was 1984. So there's just that line. But what we need to understand is fashion, pageantry, and modeling are three different things, and we'll keep learning. So I think our time is running. I just want to give Mike to give his last remarks and just advise these young people who are going into the three industries.
So, my dear models, it's a beautiful world. The modeling world is a beautiful world. I've learned a lot. I've grown. I'm here because I'm a model. I'll only tell you one thing. The way you train is the way you play. And the way you play is the way you train. The runway is yours to shine.
Debbie.
Left us with something really powerful. I feel like I have no more words to say, but for me, what I would advise you, just self-awareness is key. Do your inner, meet yourself. Jite mkutano, figure out what you want to be. Do you want to be a beauty queen? Do you want to be a model? And go for it. If you realize you're not making money as a model, figure out a way of making money, because there's no way you're calling yourself a model and you're not making money outside of it. If you don't make at least 50,000 per month as a model, then I do not think you should call yourself a model. It's beautiful to be skinny and tall and striking, but look out for opportunities, because there's so many opportunities available out here, and figure out a way of how to monetize it. But most of all, have someone to hold your hand and guide you through the industry. And I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Yeah, before we close, like Divya said, you must make money. There are models who are social media models who have no idea. They're making a lot of money because they've learned the way into the business. So the so-called models needs now either to go to back to school or the academy. There are a number of academies that will teach you the tricks of the modeling industry. Before you get into modeling and pageantry, please, a trainer, the academy, first look at, do due diligence. There are a lot of boys who've gone to the catwalk, they've done 2 catwalks, then now they become choreographers or they become trainers. That person would be lying to you because they do not understand the fact of modeling. This is Sash and Style. This is our second episode. We are going to have a lot of episodes to teach you about fashion, modeling, and beauty pageantry. Next week, I have a model who is coming all the way from Italy, Milan. She is now a designer. She'll be on this. And I might have Noni Karaoke, who just came back from Miss Tourism International. And the other week, we'll have Cecilia Mwangi, who's been who did jiggers and did very well during her reign, and a number of big names, and we learn a lot. So next week, Wednesday, same time, put on your shoes, be ready with your tea, and don't leave the screen. Thank you so much for your time. Bye.